and they are a marketplace startup on a mission to provide open access to digital billboards around the world. They started out in 2018 with 2 billboards in Europe, and now they are connected to over 100,000 digital screens worldwide, with 60,000 here in the United States. But I won't give away all the details. I'll let them share their story and show us how they're changing out-of-home marketing. And if you have any questions for TPS Engage during the presentation, feel free to drop it in the chat box. And we will address those questions at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to TPS Engage's Sergio. All of you.
Thanks, Caleb. I mean, keep going, man. You're doing already a great job.
It's your turn.
So guys, happy to be here. Excited to be able to talk in front of such a large audience. It's always a pleasure to be engaging with people from Northwestern Arkansas region, a place that we ended up calling home since the beginning of this year. Today, we want to tell you more about our story as a company since we got founded, and share a couple of insights of things that we've learned along this journey. Hopefully, you will find it helpful. And as Caleb was mentioning in the beginning, don't be shy of asking any type of questions. There are no wrong questions, actually. So before we actually deep dive into telling you more about our company and the product itself, I wanted to spend a bit of time and sharing you more details about myself. So my name is Sergio, as you can see written on the screen. And since this is a very common name in English, in any given day, I'm being called on a variety of names. It's either Sergio, Sergey, Sergey, I've heard them all. The good thing about it is it always puts a smile on my face whenever I'm opening an email. More than this, I'm Romanian born. I have a career which was starting and brewed in a corporate environment. For more than 10 years, I was working in various media and digital roles for one of the largest FMCG companies out there, Procter & Gamble. However, 3 years ago, emboldened by the opportunity to disrupt and innovate one of the oldest advertising mediums existing out there, out of home, I switched a bit tables and I became a full-time entrepreneur. Since the beginning of this journey for me, there was always a question which kept appearing. I kept asking myself. And this was actually, what do you actually start when you're building a new business? And how do you change an industry which doesn't necessarily want to change? In my case, the answer to this question lied in the key differences between what I've learned previously in my corporate experience and the skills and the tools I had to learn and relearn in order to be successful in a startup world and in order to be successful in building a new product and bringing it to life. Fundamentally, there is a key difference between, there are several key differences between the previous world where I was brought from a professional point of view, the business to consumer world, and the business and building a product in a business to business environment. In the business to consumer world, the recipe for success is quite straightforward. You need to have a very good product, ideally a couple of times better than your competition. You need to wrap it with the right marketing support so that consumers learn about what are the key benefits of that product and what distinguishes it versus other existing products in the marketplace. You need to make sure that your product has a correct value proposition. That means setting up on the right pricing and the right promotional support. And not least important is make sure that your product sits in the right of your potential consumers. So you have the right distribution plans. Differently, when moving into the business to business world, one of the key important lessons I've took out from my experience so far was that building trust and nurturing valuable relationship is critical for the early success of your business. More than this, KPIs are not as clear as in the business to consumer world, where you have the luxury of having several months, if not years, of previous results, which enables you to set straightforward deadlines going forward. More than this, Another important element in this journey, at least for us, was the fact that especially in the very early days and the beginning of this project, we need to be almost religious, if not fanatical, about staying true to the vision that we crafted for our company and the benefits of the products we were bringing to life. That meant, in majority of the cases, almost keeping a deaf ear to everything that we were reading in the press, and more importantly, to the opinions or the feedback of the so-called industry gurus, which, believe it or not, were quite reluctant towards innovation, towards disruption. Simply put, everybody was comfortable with the status quo on the industry. Needless to say that when you're a startup, when you're having a small business and you're trying to grow it, the name of the game is all about runway. So keeping a close eye on our financials, on the money available in the bank, either coming from investors or generated through our own sales, is equally important. So now that I told you a couple of things about myself and my past experience, I think it's high time we deep dive a bit into what's actually TPS Engage and what we are doing. So we started this journey observing carefully the advertising medium where we are operating, and carefully writing down the key challenges that we saw in this medium. And basically we boiled them down into two separate areas. For once, the vast majority of the messages that you are seeing on billboards, be them static billboards or digital billboards, are almost lack relevancy for the end user. Whenever you're walking on the street, and if you have the curiosity to pay attention to what's being displayed on digital billboards in your proximity, you will notice that in vast majority of the cases, these are brands which are talking at you and not with you. So it's basically a one-street communication. Add to this the fact that if you have a small business which doesn't enjoy the advertising budgets of a company such as McDonald's, you will have a hard time placing your message or your brand or your product on those digital billboards. And that's simply because the way the industry operates right now is whenever you are, let me give you an example. Whenever you're having a brand and you're engaging one of the big network owners, trying to place that brand and your message in front of consumer eyes, their sales team will probably ask you for a minimum buying time of a couple of weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, which ends up costing you an arm and a leg. And you basically cannot afford it. These are the actual reasons why we exist today. Our journey started in Bucharest, Romania. And we set up with a team of 5 core partners, trying to build a product which was addressing those two challenges I mentioned before. Trying to make the messages that are displayed on digital billboards more relevant for the end consumers. And on top of that, making the cost of advertising campaigns affordable to everybody. This is actually a picture which is very dear to my heart, because this was taken in 2018, and it's from the control room of the first 2 screens that you were mentioning at the beginning of this session, Caleb. Actually, our minimum viable product was brought to life in January 2018, or from a commercial point of view. We set out on a quest to make digital out-of-home screens smarter and affordable, but only by having 2 screens connected to our platform. Now, as you can imagine, although the technology behind this was disruptive already, whenever I was talking with clients or with their digital agencies, all the time got smiles on their faces, simply because I was pitching actually 2 screens. Fortunately enough, 3 years after that moment, our journey is taking us through more countries and to connecting more screens. Actually, by the end of 2020, we target to have more than 300,000 screens connected to our self-service platform and making our product available in 30 markets globally. In the US, we are already partnering with all the big names when it comes to digital out of home network owners. So think about companies like JCDecaux, Lamar, Outfront, Clear Channel. We work by now with all the key players in this industry, connecting their inventory under one single roof and making it available to any business, no matter the size and their advertising budgets, to be able to purchase space on them. The way we've thought about bringing our product to life was actually by starting from three big principles, which tied in very nicely with the challenges I was mentioning earlier. First of all, we eliminated the need for having minimum buyings. That means that within our platform, we're using a standardized media buying unit of 1 hour. That actually means that as a business, you can buy as little as 1 hour of exposure on any of our connected screens. Within that hour, we actually enable you to have a certain number of plays or sports airings. Secondly, we also built in tools within our platform to enable clients to execute micro-targeting. What do I mean by that? It's basically allowing our clients to select only those screens which are either in the proximity of their businesses. Think about a coffee shop that wants to advertise only between 8 to 9 a.m. in the morning and in a radius of, I don't know, 2 miles surrounding their shop location. But more than this, we also touched on the content delivery side, and we've built in the platform triggers that help any business contextualize the delivery of their advertising messages. Basically, we're enabling our clients to have dynamic data-driven content at scale on any of their chosen screens. In the last couple of months, we took also advantage of the downturn brought in by COVID, and we took the capabilities of our product one step further, bringing it closer to how you are used as a business to target your messages in the online media or in the mobile world. So right now, this was available only as a managed service, but what this means is basically we are enabling our clients to choose only those billboards in a selected geography that have the highest affinity towards certain demographics or psychographic segments. Let's say you want to advertise in Bentonville, your business, and you want to advertise on those locations which have the highest affinities to, let's speak, for example, male 25 to 35 years old. Our system will automatically run through the entire selection of screens available in Bentonville and will pick for you only those screens which have the highest affinity to your selected demographic segment. So this being said, what did we learn so far from this journey? Now, as a startup, as an owner of a small business, as you can imagine, there were tons of learnings coming. And when building this presentation, I took a bit of time to trying to distill through all these. And I ended up presenting you today with what I think are the three core learnings that we saw in our experience so far. First of all, since the very beginning, we realized that partnerships, especially when you're at the early stage of your journey as a company, partnerships are emotional, not rational. To give you the perfect example in this case, when I first arrived in the US 1 year ago in 2019, together with our CEO Bogdan, we had two things with us. We had a luggage full of clothes, obviously, and product which was delivering revenue in Romania. Now, from that point onwards, 2 months after, not only that we managed to find a place to call home and a space for an office, but we also signed a partnership with a supplier which enabled us to get access to more than 60,000 screens in 25 markets globally. The way we actually convince them to join hands and to cross paths with our journey is by basically making them part of a shared vision and making them believe in the potential of the product that we were bringing to life in the US as well. Secondly, this is valid for any industry, I think, but more in our case, since we're talking about out-of-home industry, we're talking about a closed circuit environment. And I'm referring here to owners of screens and industry associations. Networking, at least in the first couple of months after we arrived in the US, was for us the new mantra. For example, I still remember the 7 hours drive that we took from New York, getting to Toronto, Canada, where the Out-of-Home Association for North America was having their first meeting in 2019. That was for me a moment where the perfect opportunity to meet new partners, to establish valuable connections, but also, hey, it offered me the chance to see a bit more of the US landscape. Thirdly, and this is equally important and relevant since we're steadily growing our footprint in more markets all over the world. Think global and act local, for us is more than a simple marketing cliche. And what I'm telling myself daily and what I'm telling to our team on a daily basis is the fact that while we're growing our business, it's highly important to maintain a high degree of relevance towards all the businesses that operate in a certain geography and get to know, if not firsthand, at least through trends or through reading more about about their needs in order to be able to answer them perfectly. So in conclusion, what we ended up having at TPS Engage is building a tool that serves the needs of both local businesses as well as large companies. Going a bit under the hood of the product and getting you into the nitty-gritties of how our platform works, we're basically talking and staged through to 4 big principles. We want to provide an easy access to everybody. So in an essence, we are democratizing the access of any business to this advertising space. We're very keen and high on using the right context to display your advertising content, powered by real-time data. And overall, what we want to achieve is a business transaction that has the least amount of friction when it comes to the overall user experience. Let me take them one by one and offer you a couple of real life examples so you understand what I'm talking about more in details. I told you before about the standardized media access. So basically this means that you can select any of the screens which are part of our platform, and on any of them you can buy as little as 1 hour of exposure. To put this into perspective, and I briefly took the chance earlier today to go and in the platform and select a screen in Bentonville. So basically 1 hour of exposure on a nice digital billboard on the 14th Street in Bentonville costs you less than $2. Within this amount of budget, what you're getting in exchange is 10 airings of advertising spot, which is 10 seconds in length. So enough to make a first impression. Of course, in order to build relevant business results, you'll then need to up to you to play and select more screens, more hourly intervals, and so on. But this is just to say that, hey, we made this media channel affordable to everybody. Secondly, I was also telling you about the usage of real-time data and context triggers. And basically, this goes beyond just providing you with simple reports of how your campaign is evolving, and actually means that through the usage of the platform, whenever you're uploading your advertising messages, you can also select certain triggers that will condition the delivery of your advertising. And those triggers can be based on public data, such as weather condition, day parting, day of the week, evolutions in traffic in front of that specific screen, but can also be built on your own data as a client. We'll make sure that we'll import your data, we'll build your custom trigger, which will be available only for you, And you'll use this, and you can use this potentially to enhance the results of your advertising campaigns. Now, let me give you some real life examples. And I handpicked a couple of case studies from past executions just to give you an example of what do I mean by usage of real-time data by contextual campaigns. The first brand I want to put into spotlight was Heineken, where actually for the launch of their zero alcohol SKU, their media agency partnered with us for a 1 week advertising campaign in a very localized region of the city. They used more than 50 different creatives during this execution, all of them conditioned by various triggers. Give me one moment to also share the case study for this one. Here we go. Can you see my screen? Perfect. So this is Heineken.
So thank you for watching this one, and apologies in advance for having the sound only played in my AirPods for the beginning. Another interesting example that I wanted to share with you today is the campaign we executed with Uber Eats. Now, the reason why this is a bit different versus Heineken is because the client was actually choosing to use their own data, as that was one of the possibilities enabled by our platform. The way they did this is we connected to their in-app data, which allowed us to see in real time the menus and the promotions of the restaurants which were in the proximity of the billboards that the client selected. How this was brought to life, you can see easily in the following video. Here we go. This is Uber Eats. Now, if you enjoy this one, I'm gonna go to the next example, which is again very dear to my heart, simply because it was one of the first campaigns that we managed to do with my former employer, Procter & Gamble. We helped them actually customize the delivery of their digital out-of-home ads by using a selection of triggers, such as geo-targeting, day parting, and weather triggers. This is how they used us for the launch of one of their um, websites. And this is the story behind it. So these were just a couple of examples to give you a better idea on what do I mean by usage of dynamic content that is able to change the conversation and ultimately extract more ROI from your advertising campaigns. This goes to replace all the traditional campaigns, which were basically airing one or two messages before throughout the duration of their campaign. Another important element of the platform, of the product that we brought to life, are the analytics that sit behind and that are powering every campaign. Basically, once your campaign is becoming live, through the access to your own dashboard, you will see detailed results about the plays that are registered at any given moment in time, as well as the reach that your campaign is delivering. All this is being built in real time so that you can correlate these type of results with your business KPIs and start to drive correlations between what you're seeing in your campaign and how your business is evolving. To give you an example, what do I mean by this is we partnered also with Samsung and we ended up outfitting one of their retail stores with machine learning vision sensors that were enabling us to get a better sense of what are the demographics of the shoppers predominant at a certain moment in time in that respective store. We were also connected to the screens, to the digital screens that were placed in the respective store. And by correlating the two informations, so the information about the demographics of the shoppers with the content that was running in the screen, on the screens, sorry, we were actually able to influence shopper decisions in the sense that we were helping Samsung display tailored advertising messages according to the people who are visiting their store at any certain moment in time. More than this, the team at the client on the client side had detailed access through the dashboard about what's happening in terms of shopper visit in the store. They were seeing how their traffic was evolving on a daily basis and on an hourly basis, and very precise details, insights about what's the composition of that target audience. Stuff like what's the predominant age group, what's the predominant gender. They were able to take this information further and analyze the impact the number of visits and the advertising exposure had on their sales. 1 second to also show you how we brought it to life actually.
Take the Samsung store, a real example. Using TPS Engage technology, Samsung customizes in-store content. If For example, it has a higher concentration of women or men in a certain age range. In that situation, it'll show content on the screens that adapts and prioritizes products designed for that type of consumer. This allows Samsung to live test their key messages and check their sales performance in a real shop with real people. These are just a few examples of the power of dynamic out-of-home. Together with our partners, we're changing the face of offline advertising worldwide.
So, having went through all the case studies and all the examples, one of the questions I'm hearing often whenever I'm talking with small business owners or with potential clients is, we actually need to spend hours to learn how to use this platform. How easy it is to access and to use your platform? And the simple answer to this question is no. From the very beginning, we built our product to make it as easy as possible for everybody to use. So without further ado, I just wanted to take some moments to showcase you a demo of the platform and how easy it is to use it. So basically, with just a few clicks, you can create your own account. Our moderation team will review all the details of your business. Once they veto you, you are free to browse the inventory and see if you have any screens which might be interesting for your business needs. It's basically like filling in a shopping cart details. You can add as many screens as you want, then select the number of plays you want to have each hour. Select the time intervals that you want your campaign to run on. And then you'll be taken to a step where you're uploading your creative. And this is the interesting part. Since for each creative that you are uploading, you can select certain triggers when that creative to play on the screen. If everything sounds right, you'll see a purchase order and you can click on publishing. Our moderation team will review this content, and if everything checks out, your campaign will become live in less than 24 hours. So this is in a nutshell our product and how we brought it to life as a result of the journey we've taken these 3 years. Another important element, and I promise this is the last example, guys. Feel free to ask me as many questions as you would like. Is this product good, or is this product delivering for local businesses? Does it work? So for this, to answer this question, I thought about bringing in one of the latest executions we've done with a client in Dubai. The client is called Wokyo Noodle Bars, and as the name says it, they are in the business of delivering noodles, noodle soup. They have 3 locations throughout Dubai, and they use our platform to buy and book a 2 weeks exposure time in selected locations throughout the cities. They carefully chosen only the time slot which makes more sense for their audiences, basically the time frames which correspond with the hourly interval of serving the meals. They carefully also added to their campaign only the screens which were in the proximity of their businesses, of their delivery points, and also played a bit with the content. And they had few creatives which were interchanging based on predefined conditions. In terms of results, this makes me even happier than when working on a big enterprise campaign. People like McDonald's, Procter & Gamble, Uber Eats are accustomed to having this type of successful execution. For guys like Wokyo Noodle Bar, this type of campaigns can be actually not life-changing, but business changes, in the sense that with the help of our product, they managed to achieve a 54% increase in their orders compared with the previous month. More importantly, in the context of COVID, which is affecting pedestrian traffic, as you can imagine, also compared with last year, same period, they grew by 60%. Another proof that for them, this campaign and the attention they carried into selecting all the details and refining all the elements of this campaign paid out. So this is to say that the available inventory fits any type of client and budget. We don't work only with clients that can afford 7K figures a budget, but we take a lot of pride in working and getting the small businesses to new successes. In terms of footprint, we have 4 offices right now. Our headquarters is in New York. We have another office in Europe, another one in Seoul, and an office in Dubai. So where are we today? I think this picture says it all. We're very confident in the fact that we're still at the early beginnings of our journey. We grew and we managed to grow exponentially in the last 3 years. However, this is just a starting point for us. We want to be able to influence the success of more businesses and actually enable the access to everybody to use this advertising medium. This was everything that I wanted to share with you today. If you have any questions.
One second, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You're still showing the YouTube screen. If you want to switch over to your PowerPoint slide to show the map and contact info.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
Sorry about that. I was actually going through the last examples of from the PowerPoint. Here we go. This was basically one of the most important photos of this PowerPoint, together with this one, the results that we managed to deliver to the guys in Dubai. Thank you, everybody. Happy to take any questions you might have right now.
Fantastic. Great presentation, Sergio. Appreciate it. We finally got the integration with Facebook to work, so we are live on Facebook right now. So if you are watching via Facebook and you have a question, feel free to drop it in the comments of the Facebook page, and I'll check that in a second. If you are here on the Zoom call with us right now, feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question if you'd like, or if you'd prefer to drop a question in the chat box, you're more than welcome to do so. The floor is open. Not everybody all at once.
I have a question for you, Sergio. How about ad content? Is there an affordable way to get it? It seems like the access to the signage is there. It seems like ad content could be more expensive than the actual advertising, if that makes sense. I mean, how do you keep the cost of content in line with the exposure that you're getting with it?
Right, and that's a great question, Steve. And there are a couple of ways I can answer this question. Luckily, first of all, and most importantly, the format and the resolution of the digital screen that we are operating and we are connected with, it's pretty similar with the resolution of a video which your business might use to advertise on Facebook. So by that token, you can almost seamlessly take the type of creatives that you're using right now in your digital campaigns and putting them on those digital billboards. Additionally, if you want to have a more complex campaign, like the examples I showed you with Heineken, with Uber Eats, those guys had more than 50 different creatives. There is also a way to keep those creative costs down. So it doesn't end up, as you rightfully pointed out, costing you more than the advertising cost itself. And the best way to keep your creative costs down is by working with creative templates. We actually built in the platform tools that all the businesses can use. By simply uploading a high-res creative template, we can help them change the call to actions in that template and produce several reiterations of that original creative format. So in the case of Heineken, for example, if you noticed, the background of the creatives that were aired during that campaign were all the same. They had a bottle of Heineken Zero Alcohol, they had the brand logo, and what was actually changing in that creative was the call to action. And that was changed by us for the on behalf of the client.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions?
Happy to take them, any follow-up questions over email, guys. I'm just one email away.
And could you show us, I don't know if you had a image for that, but what is your contact information for those that do want to reach out to you, Sergio?
So it's very simple. It's actually a good catch. I forgot to include it, but it's simply my name, so Sergio, at tpsengage.com.
Perfect. And I will include that in any follow-up emails as I send out the link to the video to everyone who signed up.
Happy to stay in touch, guys. And as I mentioned in the beginning, for me and for us, it's a great pleasure to engage with people from the region, simply because for us, Bentonville and Northwestern Arkansas, it's close to home.
Home away from home. Well, if there are no further questions, Sergio, I want to thank you again for presenting today. We really appreciate you and your TPS Engage team. I know they're all here on this call, and we thank them for being here with us today. And like I said, I will send out an email with this video to everybody who signed up, to everybody who's watching, and anyone who's interested in sharing that this video with colleagues. And I will copy Sergio in the email if that's okay with you, and that way they can contact you directly.
Of course. Thanks a lot, Caleb. And again, thanks to the audience for giving us this opportunity.
Absolutely. Everybody have a great day.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.